And John Paul, what are you up to?
Well, we're in production right now for my second edition of my Stretch for Strength DVD, which we shot last year. The first edition went out of print a couple years ago. The warm-up to strength training DVD is doing very well. We're selling copies worldwide. A lot of experts are recommending it. I'll be presenting next month in collaboration with the Certified Professional Trainers Network, and I'll be lecturing in Massachusetts over the next few months. Traditionally, they say, you know, full recovery comes well after soreness has subsided, but that's not necessarily true. In fact, each workout you should strive to make at least 1 to 2% progress, whether that be to do 1 or 2 pounds more than the previous workout, or whether it's to do 1 or 2 more repetitions with the same weight that you performed in the previous workout.
Every workout you should be increasing.
You should be making progress.
I should be lifting 400 pounds by now, and I've barely moved.
Right. There's a saying in strength training that go heavier or go home.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily apply to me because I work out in the basement of my home. So for me, it's go heavier or go upstairs. But basically, you should be making progress. So we need to look more at objective measures to gauge progress rather than subjective. Well, the controversy is that many females are afraid to do weights because they have the fear of getting too big. The reality is that compared to men, females have much less testosterone production. They have 10 times less testosterone and 30 times less androgens, which are male sex hormones. So if it's hard for a lot of males to get big, it's going to be quite difficult for females. And if they're blessed with those genes, then it's very easy to tailor it thereafterward. But the key is, however, ideally, research shows us that we should train 3 and 11 hours upon awakening. That's when the summation of our anabolic hormones peak. That would be the best time. But some people have to train first thing in the morning because that's when they can fit in their schedule. Well, guess what? Your body actually starts to prime itself, starts to prepare even while you're sleeping. So if you can train at the same time, you will get a more effective work. In terms of calorie surplus, I do not discuss calories with my clients, and the reason is simply this. I find it drives neuroticism, okay? So we don't live in a vacuum. There are too many variables to take into account, so it's best to let the calories take care of themselves. Make sure you get a sufficient amount of protein to deal with the weight training, with the stress that you're putting on your body, so you have the raw materials to deal with that, as well as essential fatty acids, and the carb intake will depend on your volume of training. Okay. This is an excellent question, all right? If you look at the Eastern Bloc countries, most of them are lifting weights before even the age of 10. Now, we're not talking about heavy weights, even just broomsticks, okay, so that they're learning movement patterns. And what they have found is that the earlier you start, it actually improves bone growth, not deters it. Now, I must caution the listener that we're talking about light weights, not heavy weights. Furthermore, if children are not supposed to lift weights, then they should not be outside playing. Why? Because the forces that they incur on the playground are 8 to 12 times their body weight. As far as I know, no child will even squat double their body weight. With that said, actually, 90% of agility and balance is gained during the prepubescent ages. So it's very important to involve them in many different types of activities. For instance, my eldest daughter is 6 years old now, okay? We've had her in gymnastics, karate, swimming, a couple types of dance, baseball, soccer. She's 6 years old. It's something I learned from Dr. Isvan Bey. Involve them in many different activities, and eventually they will
find their own.
Not just a matter of emotional stress, stress with your spouse, stress at work, stress on the road. If this particular viewer is eating the same foods day in, day out, perhaps drinking the same liquor day in, day out, that could be a stress to the body. Why? Because he could develop first a food intolerance and even worse, a food allergy. So he's stressing his body without even knowing it. And then the body will spit out more cortisol, and as it spits out cortisol, it will usually lay down more fat in the midsection. So this is multifactorial. There are many variables involved, but that's just one of them. Detrimental both ways. So I mean, if you wake up and you've just gone on an 8-hour fast, and then all of a sudden you start going out there, well, cortisol levels again are highest in the morning, and now you're just pouring more fuel on the fire, so you can really start to catabolize a lot of muscle tissue doing that. And then again, if you eat breakfast first, a lot of people have difficulty digesting their food and then going out there. So what I suggest is consider an anti-catabolic agent such as branched chain amino acids and glutamine. Taking those beforehand can help. They can help increase
With
energy
what?
levels.
Like what would you mix
Just
it with?
water.
Just
Strictly
plain water?
Yep. Because if you mix it with juice, then juice is going to have the consequence of raising your blood sugar levels. Then you start to
And the
bottom
acid
out,
in your stomach, yeah.
and you start having some fun.
Now, wouldn't the protein amino acid be acidic in your stomach as well?
Actually, glutamine buffers the acidity. That's a good question.
Okay.
It acts more as an alkalinizing agent. So, very good question. Yeah, and you got to be careful about taking creatine before training. I know a lot of people recommend taking it before training. What they have found is that there are a lot of muscle pulls and a lot of cramping in athletes that take creatine before their training. Leave it till after the workout.
Well, Jay, I'll tell you, I went to John Paul's gym in his house. We did a story, I don't even know when, last fall after Thanksgiving, I believe. And it was the deadlift start. So, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody what I could do. I'm ashamed of myself. And mine was the easy way with my palms facing in.
Yeah.
I think it was like 100 or something, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah. We lost count. What do you think? How do you improve your pull-up? Are they good for you, first of all?
One of the best exercises for the whole body, bar none, okay? In terms of down low, we have squats and deadlifts as the best lower body exercises, while the equivalents are dips and chin-ups for the upper body, okay, in terms of push-pull respectively.
Okay.
Now, and by the way, pull-ups don't just work your upper body, they will also stress the core, okay? And they'll stress the core significantly. In fact, a lot of people complain of abdominal soreness the next day after doing a bout of chin-ups. Now, just so people know the progressions, generally we start with... That's a good point. However, on machines like the Stairmaster, for instance, right? When people hang on to the side, a lot of times what they're doing is they're deloading. They're actually taking some of their load off,
Yeah.
and so they're making it easier for themselves. But typically, when you see people walk into a gym and they have a choice between an elliptical and a treadmill, more times than not, they'll go for the elliptical. And for that reason alone, I would recommend the treadmill.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it can be counterproductive actually for an advanced athlete. Ideally, you'd like to do your cardio workout, if possible, 4 to 6 hours after your strength training so that you can take advantage of the wave, the neural wave that you've performed during your strength work, which will help you with your aerobic work thereafterward. If not,
You've got some journals and stuff that people might be interested in.
all kinds of stuff.
And lastly, can we order your DVD on your...
Strengthwarmup.com.
Perfect. Great.